Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be looking at how I took parts that I had left over from other chassis and built the suspension for my lunchbox. Let's take a look. So, about 5 years ago, I had this idea to take a lunchbox and give it more steering angle. The problem is, at the time, I didn't know enough, so I got discouraged. But about 3 months ago, I decided to try again. The lunchbox is made out of plastic, so it has a lot of flex. So my first challenge was to reinforce the chassis. Ta-da! So I had a piece of carbon fiber left over from another project. So I cut out a few pieces and bolted them to the chassis. I then cut up this piece of aluminum and made a shock tower brace. The upper carbon fiber plate is attached to this aluminum cage that's then attached to the mid carbon fiber plate. That mid carbon fiber plate is bolted here. And then if we flip the chassis, is bolted to this piece of aluminum. That piece of aluminum is then bolted to the lower carbon fiber plate. I think those aluminum pieces are left over from a Pt.1. The next challenge was deciding what lower suspension to run. I have these Yokomo DIB arms and knuckles that I'm not using, so I guess we're going that route. Now, I'm not going to cut up my DIB, but I have a BD7 that I'm never going to use, so I have no problem cutting it up. The BD7 used drift package suspension, so these are the mounts. The drift package used 2.5 millimeter suspension pins. The DIB, however, used 3. So what I discovered is these little pieces that come with servo mounts can actually be used as a 2.5 millimeter adapter for the Yokomo DIB arms. So now we have no play. With the DIB arms mounted to the drift package subframe, we now have all the adjustability that we would need. We can adjust caster, camber, KPI, as well as track width. Now we need to figure out how to mount the subframe to the lunchbox chassis. But before we talk about how we're going to mount that subframe, let's look at ride height for the front and the rear, as well as wheelbase. So I want this to be lower, and I actually want to slightly extend the wheelbase. So in order to get the front low, I'm going to have to cut out this front bracket right here so that the subframe can drop in. There is a screw underneath the bumper right here that I'm going to use as a mounting point for the front of the subframe. So you can see I've used this post and I've cut out that mounting bracket. And then we're going to use this point as the rear point to mount the subframe. So in order to extend the wheelbase and adjust the ride height of the front of the transmission, I'm using these Tamiya Hornet T4 Works aluminum hangers. I've taken and mounted them to a piece of carbon fiber that is then mounted to the battery tray. So you can see these hangers have extended the wheelbase and given me the ability to lower the front of the transmission. So just so you know, the front of the transmission is going to ride in the middle of the carriers when I'm done. So we're going to be moving the rear shock position from here to the back. Same thing on the other side. This is going to give us the ability to adjust the rear height of the transmission. If you've watched to this point, you're probably wondering, why does this guy always wear sunglasses? Probably not. But at some point you may have thought, this is a monster truck. Why would we lower it? Well, I'm trying to change the center of gravity and how the body rolls in order to make the chassis more stable. But that's all the time we have for today, guys. So thanks for watching. Until next time.